Opening: The Assault on Berlin. April 25, 1945, 6 in the morning. Berlin, Germany, Reichstag district. Soviet tank commander Lieutenant Anatoly Rybakov sits in his IS-2 heavy tank. The tank is named for Stalin. It's his second IS-2. The first was destroyed by a German Panther 3 months ago near Warsaw. Rybakov and his crew escaped. Barely. He looks through his periscope. Berlin burns. Smoke rises from 1,000 fires. Buildings collapse. Streets are filled with rubble. German resistance is fierce, desperate. Every building is a fortress. Every street corner has a Panzerfaust team waiting. Rybakov's radio crackles. For Stalin, advance to Reichstag, support infantry, suppress enemy positions. Rybakov acknowledges. His driver, Sergeant Volkov, shifts gears. The IS-2 lurches forward. 46 tons of Soviet steel. Tracks crush rubble. The tank moves slowly, carefully. Berlin's streets are treacherous. Suddenly, movement. 300 meters ahead, a German Tiger tank emerges from behind a collapsed building. The Tiger's 88mm gun swings toward them. Rybakov shouts, "Target! Tiger! Front!" His gunner, Corporal Petrov, already sees it. The Tiger fires first. The shell hits the IS-2's frontal armor, 120mm of steel. The shell bounces off. Sparks. No penetration. The crew feels the impact, violent, but the armor holds. Petrov centers the crosshairs. The IS-2's 122mm gun aims at the Tiger. Range, 280 meters. Point-blank range for this weapon. Fire! The IS-2 recoils, massive. The 122mm shell crosses the distance in a fraction of a second. Hits the Tiger's frontal armor. Penetrates. The Tiger explodes. Catastrophic ammunition detonation. The turret flies 15 meters, crashes into a building. Rybakov's crew doesn't celebrate. They've seen this before. The IS-2's gun can kill any German tank. One shot. But reloading takes time. 30 seconds minimum. In urban combat, 30 seconds is eternity. Another Panzerfaust team appears. A building to the right. Rybakov rotates the turret. The IS-2's 12.7mm machine gun opens fire. The building's windows shatter. The Panzerfaust team retreats. This is the IS-2's war. Urban assault, breaking fortified positions, destroying German armor at close range. The IS-2 isn't designed for long-range tank duels on open plains. It's designed for this. Close combat, overwhelming firepower, unstoppable advance. This is the story of the IS-2, Stalin's hammer, the Soviet Union's answer to the Tiger, the tank with the most powerful gun of World War II, the machine that Soviet crews called Victory's Guarantee, the weapon that proved Soviet heavy tank design could match and exceed German engineering. Welcome to Iron Witness. Part 1. Origins. The Tiger Shock. Chapter 1. The KV-85 Failure. Let's go back to 1943. The Soviet Union has a problem. German Tiger tanks are appearing on the Eastern Front. The Tiger's 88mm gun can destroy Soviet tanks at ranges beyond 2,000 meters. Soviet tanks cannot respond effectively. The main Soviet heavy tank is the KV-1, 47 tons, 76mm gun, good armor. But the KV-1 has problems. It's slow. Maximum speed, 35 kilometers per hour. It's unreliable. The transmission frequently fails. And most critically, its 76mm gun cannot penetrate Tiger frontal armor at combat ranges. Soviet tank losses in 1943 are catastrophic, not just from Tigers. German Panthers, Panzer IVs, and anti-tank guns destroy thousands of Soviet tanks. Soviet commanders send desperate reports to Moscow. We need a heavy tank that can fight Tigers. We need it immediately. Soviet leader Joseph Stalin personally intervenes. He orders the Kirov factory in Chelyabinsk to develop an improved heavy tank. The requirements are simple: heavier armor than the KV-1, a more powerful gun, better mobility. The design team, led by Chief Engineer Nikolai Dukov, proposes the KV-85. The name indicates the new gun, 85mm D5T. This gun is more powerful than the KV-1's 76mm. It can penetrate 100 millimeters of armor at 1,000 meters. Better, but still inadequate against the Tiger's frontal armor. The KV-85 enters production in September 1943. By December, over 130 are built. They enter combat immediately, and the results are disappointing. Soviet tank commander Major Ivan Pavlov later wrote, "The KV-85 was better than the KV-1, but against Tigers it was still insufficient. We could kill Tigers from the side or rear, but frontal engagements at long range were suicide. The Tiger's gun could penetrate us. Our gun bounced off the Tiger." Stalin is furious. He summons the design team to Moscow. December 1943. The meeting is tense. Stalin demands answers. Why can't our heavy tank kill German heavy tanks? The Tiger weighs 56 tons. We can build a tank that size. Why haven't you? Dukov explains the technical challenges. Heavier armor means more weight. More weight requires a more powerful engine. A more powerful engine requires better transmissions. And most importantly, they need a bigger gun. Much bigger. Stalin listens, then makes a decision. Build a new heavy tank. I want frontal armor that can withstand Tiger shells. I want a gun that can destroy Tigers at any range. I don't care about the cost. I don't care about production complexity. Build it. Name it after me. IS. Joseph Stalin. The IS program begins. Chapter 2. The 122mm decision. The critical question: what gun should the IS tank use? Soviet engineers consider several options. The 85mm D5T, already in production, proven, but inadequate against Tigers. The 100mm D10T, more powerful, can penetrate Tigers frontally at medium ranges, but Soviet artillery doesn't use 100mm shells. No existing ammunition production. The 122mm A-19 core gun. This is an artillery piece, designed for infantry support, but it's powerful, extremely powerful. The 122mm shell weighs 25 kilograms. For comparison, the Tiger's 88mm shell weighs 10 kilograms. The German Panther's 75mm shell weighs 6.8 kilograms. The Soviet 122mm shell is massive. The problem? Can you mount a 122mm artillery gun in a tank turret? Soviet engineers study the question. The A-19 gun is huge. Long barrel, heavy recoil. The turret must be large. The turret ring must be wide. The recoil mechanism must be redesigned. The project seems impossible. But Dukov's team finds a solution. They modify the A-19, shorten the barrel slightly, improve the recoil system, design a larger turret, widen the turret ring. By March 1944, they have a working prototype. The gun is designated D25T, tank version of the A-19. It fires the same 122mm ammunition, but it's adapted for tank use. The performance is extraordinary. At 1,000 meters, the D25T can penetrate 160 millimeters of armor. The Tiger's frontal armor is 100 millimeters. The D25T can penetrate it easily. At 2,000 meters, it can penetrate 120 millimeters. Still enough to kill a tiger, but there's a significant problem: rate of fire. The D-25T is slow to reload. The shell weighs 25 kilograms. The loader must manually lift it from the ammunition rack, insert it into the breech, close the breech. The gunner aims, fires. The entire process takes approximately 30 seconds. Compare this to the Tiger's 88mm gun. Rate of fire, 6 to 8 rounds per minute. Approximately 8 to 10 seconds per shot. The IS tank will fire 1 shot for every 3 to 4 Tiger shots. This is a critical disadvantage in a tank duel. But Soviet doctrine accepts this trade-off. The IS isn't designed for long-range duels. It's designed for breakthrough operations, assault missions, destroying fortified positions. In these roles, overwhelming firepower per shot matters more than rate of fire. Stalin approves the 122mm gun. The IS heavy tank program proceeds. Chapter 3. The IS-2 design. The IS-2 is finalized in October 1944. Let me describe what Soviet engineers created. Weight, 46 tons, heavier than the T-34, but lighter than the Tiger at 56 tons. This weight is achievable for Soviet factories. Armor, frontal hull, 120 millimeters at 60 degrees. This slope effectively increases the armor to over 200 millimeters equivalent, impenetrable to most German guns at combat ranges. Turret front, 100 millimeters, thick enough to withstand Tiger shots at medium to long range. Side armor, 90 millimeters, vulnerable to flanking shots, but adequate for frontal assaults. Gun, 122 millimeter D-25T, barrel length, 6.2 meters. Muzzle velocity, 780 meters per second. Penetration at 1,000 meters, 160 millimeters. This gun can kill any German tank from any angle. 1 shot, 1 kill. Engine, V2 IS diesel engine, 520 horsepower. The same family as the T-34 engine. Reliable, proven, fuel efficient. Less likely to catch fire than gasoline engines. Suspension, torsion bar suspension, similar to German tanks. Better ride quality than the old KV series. Better cross-country performance. Speed, maximum 37 kilometers per hour on roads, 20 kilometers per hour cross-country. Slower than the T-34, but faster than the old KV tanks. Adequate for breakthrough operations. Range, 150 kilometers on roads, limited by fuel capacity, but Soviet logistics can provide fuel. Crew, 4 men. Commander, gunner, loader, driver. No bow machine gunner like German or American tanks. This saves space and weight. Ammunition capacity, 28 rounds, limited by the size of 122 millimeter shells. Each shell is large, takes up significant space, compared to Tigers carrying 92 rounds of 88 millimeter. But Soviet doctrine emphasizes quality over quantity of shots. Production begins at the Kirov factory in October 1944. By December, over 100 IS-2s are built. By January 1945, production accelerates, 300 per month. By May 1945, 3,515 IS-2s have been produced. This production rate is slower than T-34 production, but faster than German Tiger production. And the IS-2 is more reliable than the Tiger. Operational readiness, approximately 75%, not as high as T-34's 95%, but much better than Tiger's 50 to 60%. The IS-2 enters combat in January 1945, and it proves itself immediately. Part 2. Combat. The Iron Fist. Chapter 4. Operation Vistula-Oder. January 12, 1945. The Vistula-Oder offensive. The Soviet Union launches a massive assault from Poland toward Germany. Over 2.2 million Soviet soldiers, 6,000 tanks, 7,000 aircraft. The objective: cross the Vistula River, break through German defenses, advance to the Oder River, prepare for the final assault on Berlin. IS-2 tanks spearhead the attack. Their role: break through fortified German positions, destroy German counterattacking armor, clear paths for T-34 medium tanks and infantry. The first major engagement occurs near Warsaw. German forces have fortified the city's outskirts. Concrete bunkers, anti-tank ditches, minefields, and dozens of Panthers and Tigers in hull-down positions. Soviet IS-2 commander Lieutenant Dmitry Oskin leads a platoon of 3 IS-2s. His orders: assault the German defensive line, destroy enemy armor, support infantry advance. Oskin's platoon advances. German anti-tank guns open fire. 75mm PaK-40 guns, effective against most Soviet tanks. But the IS-2's frontal armor is too thick. Shells bounce off. Oskin's platoon continues advancing, unstoppable. Then, German Tigers appear. 3 Tigers emerge from concealed positions. Range 1,200 meters. The Tigers fire. 3 shells hit Oskin's lead IS-2. All 3 bounce off the sloped frontal armor. The IS-2's armor holds. Oskin orders return fire. His gunner aims at the nearest Tiger. Range 1,100 meters. The IS-2 fires. The 122mm shell hits the Tiger's frontal armor. Penetrates. The Tiger explodes. Catastrophic kill. Second IS-2 engages the second Tiger. Range 1,000 meters. Fires. Penetrates. Another Tiger destroyed. The third Tiger attempts to retreat. Oskin's platoon pursues. Range closes to 800 meters. Third IS-2 fires. The shell hits the Tiger's side armor, penetrates easily. Third Tiger destroyed. 3 Tigers eliminated in under 3 minutes. 0 Soviet losses. This engagement demonstrates the IS-2's primary advantage: overwhelming firepower. At ranges where German guns can barely damage the IS-2 can kill any German tank with 1 shot. Oskin's actions are reported to Stalin personally. Oskin receives the Hero of the Soviet Union medal. His crew receives promotions. The IS-2 gains a reputation among Soviet forces: the Tiger Killer. But not every engagement goes this well. Chapter 5. The Rate of Fire Problem. January 28, 1945, near Lodz, Poland. Soviet forces encounter a German counterattack. Approximately 50 German tanks. Mix of Panthers, Panzer IVs, and a few King Tigers. Soviet tank commander Captain Nikolai Urshov commands a company of 5 IS-2s. His orders: hold the line, prevent German breakthrough. The battle begins at dawn. German tanks advance in a coordinated assault. Urshov's IS-2s open fire at long range, 1,500 meters. The first volley destroys 2 Panthers, but reloading takes 30 seconds. During this time, German tanks fire multiple shots. A Panther shell hits Urshov's IS-2. The shot hits the turret at an angle, doesn't penetrate, but the impact damages the turret traverse mechanism. Urshov's turret rotates slowly now, manually. This is a critical problem. More German tanks approach. Urshov's IS-2 fires again, destroys a Panzer IV, but reload takes 35 seconds this time. The loader is exhausted. 25-kilogram shells are heavy. Lifting them repeatedly in combat is physically demanding. A King Tiger appears. Range 1,000 meters. The King Tiger fires. Hits Urshov's IS-2 again. This shot hits the lower frontal plate, a weak point. The shell penetrates. Urshov's driver is killed instantly. The IS-2 is immobilized. Urshov and his remaining crew bail out. They watch as the King Tiger fires again. This shot hits the IS-2's ammunition rack. The tank explodes. Total loss. This engagement illustrates the IS-2's critical weakness: rate of fire. In a sustained battle against multiple German tanks, the slow reload becomes a fatal liability. German tanks can fire 3 to 4 times for every IS-2 shot. Even with superior armor and firepower, the IS-2 can be overwhelmed by sheer volume of enemy fire. Soviet commanders recognize this problem. They develop new tactics.
IS-2s operate in pairs or platoons. One tank fires, the others cover during reload. Infantry support is mandatory. Infantry suppresses German anti-tank teams with rifles and machine guns while IS-2s engage armored targets. This combined arms approach compensates for the rate of fire problem. And it works. Chapter 6. The Battle of Seelow Heights. April 16th to April 19th, 1945. The Battle of Seelow Heights, the final major defensive line before Berlin. German forces have fortified this position heavily. 3 defensive lines, thousands of trenches, hundreds of bunkers, and approximately 300 German tanks, Panthers, King Tigers, Jagdpanthers. Soviet forces commit over 3,000 tanks to this assault, including approximately 200 IS-2s. The Soviet plan: massive artillery bombardment, then armored assault. Break through all 3 defensive lines in 48 hours. IS-2 commander Major Alexei Lebedev commands a battalion of 12 IS-2s. His battalion is assigned to the 2nd Assault Wave. Their mission: exploit breakthroughs created by T-34s. Destroy German counterattacks. Clear paths to Berlin. April 16th, 4 in the morning. Soviet artillery opens fire. Over 9,000 guns and rocket launchers. The barrage lasts 30 minutes. The earth shakes. German positions disappear under explosions. 5 in the morning. The assault begins. T-34s advance. Infantry follows. German resistance is fierce despite the bombardment. Anti-tank guns open fire. German artillery responds. The first wave suffers heavy casualties. 7 in the morning. Lebedev's IS-2 battalion enters the battle. They advance through the first defensive line. Destroyed by the artillery bombardment. Minimal resistance. The battalion continues to the second line. Suddenly, German armor appears. A company of Panthers, approximately 12 tanks, positioned in hull-down positions behind earth berms, only their turrets visible. Perfect ambush position. The Panthers fire. 6 T-34s are destroyed immediately. Lebedev's IS-2s return fire. Range, 900 meters. The first IS-2 fires, hits a Panther. The Panther's turret armor holds, no penetration. The gunner adjusts aim, fires again. This shot hits the Panther's hull, penetrates. The Panther burns. The battle intensifies. Panthers focus fire on the IS-2s. Multiple hits on Lebedev's tank. None penetrate the frontal armor. But the impacts are violent. One hit damages the radio. Communication with other IS-2s is lost. Lebedev orders his battalion to close range. The IS-2s advance aggressively. 600 meters. 500 meters. At this range, the 122mm gun is devastating. Every shot penetrates. Panthers are destroyed one by one, but German reinforcements arrive. 4 King Tigers. These are Germany's heaviest production tanks. 70 tons. 180mm frontal armor. The 88mm L/71 gun, more powerful than the Tiger I's gun. A King Tiger fires at Lebedev's IS-2. Range, 700 meters.
The shell hits directly on the frontal armor. The armor cracks, but holds. No penetration. Lebedev's crew is stunned by the impact. The driver loses consciousness briefly. The tank stops. Lebedev's gunner recovers first, aims at the King Tiger, fires. The 122mm shell hits the King Tiger's frontal armor. This is one of the few guns that can penetrate a King Tiger frontally. The shell goes through. The King Tiger explodes. The battle continues for 3 hours. By noon, all German Panthers and King Tigers in this sector are destroyed. Soviet losses: 18 T-34s, 3 IS-2s. German losses: 12 Panthers, 4 King Tigers, 8 Panzer IVs. The IS-2 proves its value. It can penetrate any German tank. It can withstand hits from any German gun except at close range or from the heaviest weapons. It's the Soviet Union's ultimate tank destroyer. But the cost is high. IS-2 crews suffer approximately 15% casualties at Seelow Heights. The tank is powerful, but not invincible. By April 19th, Soviet forces break through all 3 defensive lines. The road to Berlin is open. And IS-2s will lead the assault on the German capital. Part 3. Berlin, the final battle. Chapter 7. Urban Assault. April 21st to May 2nd, 1945. The Battle of Berlin. Over 2.5 million Soviet soldiers, 6,000 tanks. The objective? Capture Berlin. End the war in Europe. IS-2s are assigned to assault groups. These are combined arms formations. Each group includes IS-2 heavy tanks, T-34 medium tanks, infantry, engineers, and artillery. The mission: advance street by street, building by building, destroy German resistance. Urban combat is the IS-2's specialty. The 122mm gun is devastating against buildings. One shell can collapse a building's corner, create breaches for infantry, suppress German positions. Soviet IS-2 commander Lieutenant Viktor Smirnov participates in the assault on the Reichstag. His IS-2 is named for Moscow. It's his first heavy tank. He transferred from a T-34 crew 2 months ago. April 25th, morning. Smirnov's assault group advances toward the Reichstag. German resistance is fanatical. Every building has defenders. Panzerfaust teams ambush Soviet armor from windows and basements. Smirnov's IS-2 advances slowly. The driver watches for rubble that might immobilize the tank. The turret rotates constantly, scanning for threats. The gunner's finger rests on the trigger. A German Jagdpanther tank destroyer appears, hidden in a side street. Range: 200 meters. The Jagdpanther fires first. Its 128mm gun hits Smirnov's IS-2 on the turret side. The shell penetrates. The loader is killed instantly. The gunner is wounded. Smirnov takes over the gun manually. He aims at the Jagdpanther. The range is too close for the Jagdpanther to retreat. Smirnov fires. The 122mm shell hits the Jagdpanther's superstructure, penetrates. The Jagdpanther explodes. Smirnov's IS-2 is damaged. The turret rotates, but slowly. The loader is dead. Smirnov must load the gun himself while also commanding the tank. This is nearly impossible. He radios for a replacement tank. But before the replacement arrives, a Panzerfaust team attacks. 2 German soldiers emerge from a basement. Range: 30 meters. They fire Panzerfausts simultaneously. Both hit the IS-2's side armor. Side armor is only 90 millimeters. Panzerfausts can penetrate this. Both rockets penetrate. The ammunition explodes. Smirnov and his driver escape through the top hatches. The IS-2 burns.
This is urban warfare's brutal reality. Even the IS-2, with its massive armor and powerful gun, is vulnerable in cities. Short ranges negate armor advantages. Ambushes are everywhere. Visibility is limited. Soviet IS-2 losses in Berlin are significant. Approximately 40 IS-2s destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Most losses are from Panzerfausts, not enemy tanks. German armor is scarce by April 1945, but German infantry anti-tank weapons are plentiful. Despite losses, the IS-2s fulfill their mission. They break through German defenses, destroy fortified positions, suppress counterattacks. By May 2nd, Berlin falls. The war in Europe ends. The IS-2 participates in the victory. Soviet propaganda films show IS-2s parading through Berlin's streets. Stalin personally congratulates IS-2 crews. The tank becomes a symbol of Soviet victory.
Chapter 8. Final Statistics. Let's examine the IS-2's combat record, because the numbers tell an important story. Production: 3,854 IS-2s built from October 1944 to May 1945. 7 months of production. Compared to Tiger I, 1,347 built over 2 years. The IS-2's production rate is significantly higher. Combat deployment. Approximately 800 IS-2s participated in major battles from January to May 1945. Vistula-Oder offensive, Battle of Seelow Heights, Battle of Berlin. Others served in secondary sectors or remained in reserve. Combat effectiveness. IS-2 kill-to-loss ratio against German armor is approximately 2-to-1. For every IS-2 destroyed, approximately 2 German tanks were eliminated. Compare this to the Tiger's ratio of approximately 5-to-1. The IS-2 is less effective one-on-one, but the context matters. By early 1945, most German tank crews are poorly trained. Germany's experienced tankers are dead or captured. Replacement crews have minimal training, sometimes only a few weeks. They don't know how to maximize their tank's advantages. Soviet tank crews, conversely, have years of combat experience. They know their tank's limitations. They use combined arms tactics effectively. This experience gap compensates for technical disadvantages. Crew survival rate. IS-2 crew casualties are approximately 12% killed in action, 20% wounded. Total casualty rate, 32%. This is lower than T-34 crew casualties, approximately 40%, but higher than Tiger crew casualties, approximately 25%, though this is contested. The IS-2's good crew survivability comes from thick armor and good escape hatches. When an IS-2 is penetrated, the crew usually has time to escape. The ammunition is well protected. Catastrophic explosions are less common than in T-34s. Operational reliability. IS-2 operational readiness averages 75%. Out of 100 IS-2s, 75 are mission-ready at any time. This is lower than T-34, 95%, but much higher than Tiger, 50 to 60%, or Panther, 60 to 70%. The IS-2 uses the proven V2 diesel engine family. Reliable. The transmission is strengthened compared to KV tanks, fewer breakdowns. Maintenance is simpler than German heavy tanks. Post-war service. The IS-2 remains in Soviet service until 1959, 15 years after introduction. It participates in several post-war conflicts, most notably the Korean War, though in limited numbers. The IS-2 proves that Soviet heavy tank design is viable. It can match German engineering. It can be produced in reasonable quantities. It can operate reliably in combat. This sets the foundation for future Soviet heavy tanks, the IS-3, the IS-4, eventually the T-10. Chapter 9. IS-2 versus Tiger. The comparison.
Let's directly compare the IS-2 and the Tiger I, because this comparison reveals important truths about tank design philosophy. Gun power. IS-2, 122 mm, penetration at 1,000 meters, 160 mm. Tiger, 88 mm, penetration at 1,000 meters, 120 mm. Winner, IS-2. The Soviet gun is more powerful. Rate of fire. IS-2, 2 to 3 rounds per minute. Tiger, 6 to 8 rounds per minute. Winner, Tiger. The German gun fires more than twice as fast. Armor protection. IS-2, 120 mm frontal hull at 60 degrees. Effective, over 200 mm. Frontal turret, 100 mm. Tiger, 100 mm frontal hull vertical, 100 mm frontal turret. Winner, IS-2. The sloped Soviet armor is more effective. Mobility. IS-2, 37 km per hour. Tiger, 38 km per hour. Approximately equal. Both are slow compared to medium tanks. Operational reliability. IS-2, 75%. Tiger, 50 to 60%. Winner, IS-2, more reliable. Production cost. IS-2, approximately equivalent to 150,000 Soviet rubles. Tiger, approximately equivalent to 250,000 Soviet rubles, adjusted for currency differences. Winner, IS-2, cheaper to produce. Crew comfort. Tiger, excellent. Spacious interior, good visibility, comfortable seats. IS-2, adequate. Less spacious than Tiger, but better than T-34. Winner, Tiger. Final verdict? The IS-2 and Tiger are approximately equal in one-on-one combat. The IS-2 has superior armor and gun power. The Tiger has superior rate of fire and crew ergonomics. In practice, victory depends on crew skill, tactical situation, and luck. But wars aren't decided by one-on-one tank duels. They're decided by production, logistics, and operational factors. The IS-2 can be produced faster. It's more reliable. It's cheaper. These advantages matter more than slight technical superiority in specific areas. Soviet doctrine doesn't require the IS-2 to win tank duels. It requires the IS-2 to break through fortified positions, destroy enemy strongpoints, support infantry advances. In these roles, the IS-2 excels. German doctrine expects the Tiger to dominate battlefields, destroy enemy armor at long range, win through technical superiority. But by 1945, Germany cannot produce enough Tigers, cannot supply them adequately, cannot train enough skilled crews. The doctrine fails not because the Tiger is inadequate, but because Germany's strategic situation is hopeless. The IS-2 succeeds because Soviet strategy is sound. Produce capable heavy tanks in reasonable numbers. Use them as breakthrough weapons, not general-purpose armor. Support them with combined arms. Accept that they won't win every engagement. Focus on operational and strategic victory. This philosophy wins wars. Part 4. Legacy. Chapter 10. Cold War Service. The IS-2's service doesn't end in 1945. The tank continues serving the Soviet Union throughout the late 1940s and 50s. Korean War, 1950 to 1953. Small numbers of IS-2s are transferred to North Korea and China. They participate in several battles against American M26 Pershing and M46 Patton tanks. The results are mixed. The IS-2's 122mm gun can penetrate American tanks easily. But American tanks have better fire control systems, better optics, better crew training. Several IS-2s are destroyed by American armor and aircraft.
Eastern European deployments. IS-2s are stationed in East Germany, Poland, and Hungary throughout the 1950s. They serve as deterrents against NATO. But by the mid-50s, the IS-2 is obsolete. Newer Soviet heavy tanks, IS-3, T-10, are superior. 1956 Hungarian Revolution. Some IS-2s participate in suppressing the Hungarian uprising. Urban combat against lightly armed resistance fighters. The IS-2's heavy armor is effective against small arms and improvised weapons. Retirement. By 1959, most IS-2s are retired from frontline service. Some are converted to training vehicles. Others are scrapped. A few are preserved in museums. Surviving examples. Today, approximately 20 IS-2s survive worldwide. Most are in Russian museums. The Kubinka Tank Museum has several examples. One is in running condition. The IS-2 influenced post-war Soviet tank design significantly. The lessons learned from the IS-2 program shaped the development of post-war heavy tanks. The IS-3 improved on the IS-2's sloped armor concept. The T-10 incorporated better fire control and ergonomics. Even Soviet main battle tanks like the T-54 and T-62 owe debts to the IS-2. The emphasis on sloped armor, powerful guns, diesel engines, simple, reliable mechanical systems. These design principles originated with the T-34 and were refined in the IS-2. Chapter 11. The Verdict. So, what's the final verdict on the IS-2? As a heavy tank, the IS-2 was successful. It achieved its primary mission: destroy German heavy tanks, break through fortified positions, support breakthrough operations. It performed these roles effectively. As a weapon system, the IS-2 had significant flaws: slow rate of fire, limited ammunition capacity, mediocre crew ergonomics. These flaws prevented it from being a perfect tank, but perfection was never the goal. Adequacy was the goal, and the IS-2 was adequate. As a symbol, the IS-2 represented Soviet industrial recovery. In 1941, the Soviet Union lost vast industrial capacity to German invasion. By 1944, Soviet industry could produce sophisticated heavy tanks in significant quantities. The IS-2 proved Soviet resilience. As a response to the Tiger, the IS-2 succeeded. It matched the Tiger in combat capability, exceeded it in reliability and production. The IS-2 demonstrated that Soviet tank design could compete with German engineering. This was psychologically important for Soviet forces and leadership. The IS-2 wasn't the best tank of World War II. That distinction probably belongs to the German Panther, when it worked, or the Soviet T-34, for overall impact. But the IS-2 was the best Soviet heavy tank of the war. It fulfilled its mission. It contributed to victory. It influenced post-war tank development. Soviet General Georgy Zhukov said after the war, "The IS-2 gave our forces confidence. When soldiers saw IS-2s advancing, they knew we could break any German defense." The psychological impact was as important as the technical capability. The IS-2, Stalin's hammer, the Tiger killer, the tank with the biggest gun of World War II. 3,854 built, served in the final battles of the European War, participated in the victory over Nazi Germany. Not perfect, but effective. Not invincible, but formidable. Not the most produced, but produced when it mattered most. This is the story of the IS-2. Thank you for watching Iron Witness. Subscribe for more untold stories of the machines that shaped history.